Hi guys, today's video is going to be another foundation review, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Pat McGrath Labs Skin Fetish Sublime Foundation, but I will also be reviewing the Sublime Perfection Primer and Powder. So in this video I'm going to be covering the pricing, the claims, the feel and coverage of these products, and I'll be doing an 8-hour wear test to see how the products hold up over the course of the day. So make sure you stick around to the end of the video to hear my final thoughts and to see if these products are really worth £136 in total. And also don't forget to stick around to hear the joke of the day. So if you want to see how the Pat McGrath Primer, Foundation and Powder perform, then please keep watching. So for each product I'm going to be covering 4 elements. Those are the packaging and price, the claims, the feel and the coverage, and also doing a wear test. So, sorry if you can hear my cat by the way. So in order to test out the foundation and the primer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do half of my face with the Pat McGrath primer, and I'm going to do the other half with my Milk Hydro Grip because I know how that primer works. So if I have any problems, I can tell whether it's the foundation or the primer causing them. And then I'll just be using the powder all over my face as normal. So to start, the primer is £40 and you get 30 mils or 1 fluid ounce. It comes in this black plastic bottle and it has a little pump. The packaging is nice, like it does look appealing, but I was watching someone review this about a year or 2 ago. I can't remember if it was Nikki Tutorials or Jackie Ina who said this, but the packaging does feel quite cheap for what you're getting. And especially when you compare it to like the frosted glass bottle of the foundation, it just doesn't quite compare. With that being said, it's not bad packaging at all. It's just, for £40 you kind of expect it to be, you know, amazing. But moving on to the claims. So this primer is meant to be makeup meets skincare. So it's infused with hyaluronic acid and it says it helps to preserve the skin's most youthful qualities, including suppleness, elasticity and tone. It's a water-based formulation, which is quite strange because I have tried this previously and it feels like a silicone primer, but this is supposed to give you a velvety matte finish and it's basically supposed to make your skin really nice. So I'm going to apply this to the right side of my face and I'll just apply my Milk Hydro Grip primer to the left side of my face. So I'll start with 1 pump and just see how I get on with that. So this definitely has fragrance. It's got a really nice sweet smell to it. I do try and steer clear of fragrance in my skincare. However, when it comes to primer, I am a bit more lenient just because I've already got quite a few layers of skincare on top, so it's kind of neither here nor there. It definitely feels very similar to like the Professional, not quite as silicone-y, but just in that kind of slippery feel. So it's definitely not tacky. I think if you look at my face straight on, it definitely looks more mattified on this side and it looks more blurred. I think my skin overall does just look that little bit nicer on this side of my face compared to the side that has nothing on it. So it's improved the appearance of my skin. It doesn't feel at all tacky, so I'm kind of thinking that this isn't going to grip onto foundation the same way the Hydro Grip will, but we'll see how it wears throughout the day. So I'm just going to quickly apply this to this side of my face and then we'll move on to the foundation. I'll do a pump of this as well just to keep things even. In terms of the appearance of my skin, there doesn't really seem to be a difference now that I've added the primer to the other side of my face. Okay, so moving on to the foundation. This is £61, which is a lot for a foundation. It's 35 mils or 1.18 fluid ounces. I have this in the shade Light 3, which is light with neutral undertones. So this is supposed to build from a sheer to a medium coverage. So I don't usually wear sheer foundations. I tend to wear at a minimum medium coverage foundations, but I do think this would be quite nice in the summer because I'm always looking for something a little bit lighter in the summer. But generally speaking, when it comes to foundation, I kind of think if it's going to be sheer, I'd be better off just going for like a BB cream or just mixing moisturizer in with my foundation rather than paying a lot of money for not that much coverage. So this comes in 36 shades. It feels creamy to the touch and delivers controlled, easily buildable coverage, self-setting, interesting, post-perfecting and long wearing. Its sublime satin finish lasts all day. So this is also infused with hyaluronic acid. An illuminating soft focus pigment blended into the formula converts and scatters light, emulating the effect of a healthy, youthful complexion. And I thought this was quite interesting. It's formulated without parabens, talc or fragrance, which is quite strange that this is fragrance free and the primer isn't, but I don't know why you would do one and not the other. And it's oil free, so I guess this is also water-based. So one thing I have to say about this is that I always see brands do this thing where they talk about their products' amazing new technology, that the way this talks about sort of converting and scattering light, it makes it sound as though it does something you can only do with literal technology, like, you know, lighting and photo production, that kind of thing. And especially considering this is a sheer foundation that you can build to a medium coverage. And it's talking about, you know, blurring imperfections, and it sounds like such a huge claim. Do you know what I mean? I get a bit tired of seeing these claims again and again from brands saying this is gonna make your skin look the most amazing it's ever looked in its life. And I just don't have that much faith in products. I don't think they can do that much. So it's just it's a bit tiresome. I'd rather it just told me what it was actually going to do. And to me, this looks like the kind of foundation that would look amazing on a model with perfect clear skin who maybe just needs to even out their tone a little bit, but not necessarily cover loads of imperfections. I mean, I'm saying all this and I haven't actually put the foundation on my face yet, so maybe I should just do that. Okay, so as always, I'm going to do one half of my face with a beauty blender and one half with a brush. I'm just going to give it a little shake. It is a nice bottle, I have to say that. It's got a nice little pump. It sounds very liquidy, so I'm just gonna pump it straight onto my face and see. Oh, yeah, okay. Let's do 2 and see how we get on. I'm gonna start with a brush on this side and just stipple this in. It's definitely evened out the tone. It hasn't so much covered up blemishes. I still have some here. I don't know if you can see that if my lights are too bright, but I have these kind of like spot remains, dark spots, whatever they are, just on my cheek that I can never seem to hide anyway. And I have a few dark spots on my cheek that haven't been covered up, but it does look like a much nicer version of my skin. I'm not too sure about the brush though, because it's making my skin look very patchy in places. So I'm going to go over it afterwards with the beauty blender, but let me just do this side of my face with the beauty blender alone first. So I'm going to do 2 pumps again. I have to work fast with this, it's so liquidy. Okay, so this side of my face definitely has a little bit less coverage. I'm going to go in with a little bit more to see how buildable this is. But as you can see, it has not covered my blemishes at all. I would definitely say if you're using this and you have spots that you want to cover up or dark circles or anything like that, use a very full coverage concealer. Okay, I'm going to go back in on top with I'll try another pump and see how I go on both sides of my face, and I'm going to stick to the brush on this side and the beauty blender on this side. So I definitely think that built coverage. I feel like I definitely have more coverage on this side of my face now, but I definitely don't like the way it applies with a brush on its own. It looks as though I have very, very dry and patchy skin. I'll actually move a bit closer to the camera just so you can see this up close. So as you can see from up close, there is definitely what looks to be like some dryness on my nose, and it just seems to have been exacerbated by using the brush. When I go over it with the beauty blender, I don't think it looks as bad. On the beauty blender side of my face, I haven't added the second pump of foundation yet, so that's why it looks a little bit different. But I just wanted to give you guys an up close look at my skin when I buffed it in with the brush, just so you can see what I mean about that kind of dry, patchy effect. Okay, I'm just gonna do this side of my face with another pump and we'll move on. So I've just finished applying a second pump to both sides of my face, and you can definitely see that it's covered up my spot better than it had the first time. So this is with a total of 3 pumps on my face, and I went over the brush side with the Beauty Blender just so that everything sat seamlessly together. And I just wanted to point out that I do actually still have a bit of kind of a dry patch on my nose, so I probably just have a dry nose, but it does look a little bit better once you blend it in with the Beauty Blender. It didn't look quite as drying. So if you do have dry skin and any dry patches, then if you use a brush, just go over the top with the Beauty Blender to make them less obvious, and obviously try and keep your skin nice and moisturized underneath. So before we move on to the powder, I'm quickly going to whiz through my concealer and add a little bit of cream bronzer, and then I will be back. Okay, so moving on to the powder now. This is the Sublime Perfection Setting Powder, and it's in the shade Light 1. It is £35, so the cheapest of the 3 products I'm testing today. So this is supposed to give your makeup flawless lasting wear. It's available in 5 shades that are uniquely calibrated to correspond to the foundation's 36 colour true hues. It gives a barely there feel with soft focus effects that visibly blur fine lines and imperfections. Micronized amino acid treated pigments in hexagonal and crystalline shapes help ensure flexible skin adherence with color true performance, formulated without paraben and fragrance. Okay, so this is another fragrance free one, which I don't understand why there's fragrance in the primer, because that's the one that's closest to your skin and the most likely to be irritating. So I think that was just a bit of a strange decision. So this is another one of those kind of really out there claims talking about hexagonal and crystalline shapes. They sound so big and so fantastical to make this huge difference, when in actuality the difference between that and another powder or another product is not that big. It's quite a subtle difference, which for me often leaves me feeling very disappointed, because I'm thinking, wow, these claims sound amazing, and actually they don't quite live up to all those big words that they use. I feel like I'm being a very negative Nancy today, I'm very sorry. So I do appreciate the fact that it's not translucent white, because I have tried some completely white powders and they just make you look like death warmed up. It's kind of got like a mesh net, which I think is quite good because it prevents too much product coming out, but also it will help to prevent the powder from becoming kind of clumpy in the jar, which I think is quite cool. So I'm just going to quickly set under my eyes. I don't know whether to set the rest of my face, because it says it's supposed to be self-setting, but my face still feels a bit tacky. I think I'm just going to set my face because that's what I would normally do. So I'll just do a light layer over my whole face. So I have to say, this powder brush is actually really nice. It doesn't pick up too much product and it's very fluffy, so you get a nice light layer of powder over your face. With that being said, on camera my face looks quite nice. It looks pretty smooth and blurred, but in person and up close my face does look very powdery. I expect that will set and kind of, you know, look a bit nicer once I put setting spray on top, which I will do later on. But it does look powdery, especially under my eyes. It's kind of gone a bit crepey, and it does look nice on camera. It doesn't look massively different in person. It just looks like it needs a setting spray or a hydrating mist or something just to kind of melt everything in together. So I will reassess once I've finished up the rest of my makeup. I have used this powder on a beauty blender for under my eyes before, and it does look a little bit powdery sometimes, but it also really smooths and blurs under my eyes, which I really like. So I definitely agree with the kind of blurring, smoothing claims, but I do think this needs some sort of a mist on top to help it sink in, especially if you have dry skin already. I'm gonna give you a quick close-up of the skin as is. Then I'm gonna go and do the rest of my face, and I'll be back to show you my skin at the end once I've added the setting spray and everything else on top, and then we will get into the wear test results. Okay, and I am back. What do you guys think of the little pop of pink in the corner? I wanted to do something that was simple but still kind of packs a punch. I think it looks nice, but can we not talk about my eyeliner skills? If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that I struggle with eyeliner so badly. but I'm determined to try and make it work for me. So I am continuing to practice, which is why you will see me doing terrible eyeliner until one day it's not terrible anymore. As always, I will list all the products that I used in the description box down below. So I've just done my setting spray as well, and then whenever I do my setting spray, I kind of blend it in with my blender just to make everything kind of melt in together. However, I'm not gonna lie, it still looks really bad around my nose. I don't know why. Like, considering this is supposed to be a very hydrating primer and a very hydrating foundation, I don't understand why it's so dry looking around my nose. I don't know. But the rest of my face looks alright. It doesn't look too much different to how I usually do my makeup, if just a tiny bit less coverage. So I'm just gonna give you a quick close-up and then we will move on to the wear test portion. So I forgot to mention, I put this on my face around about 1:30, so I'm gonna try and keep it on for about 8 hours. I'll check back in again at 9ish. As usual, I'm not going to touch up my face. I'm not gonna add any more foundation powder. I'm not gonna blot my face. I will probably be eating, but I'm not very likely to leave the house. So yeah, we'll see how it holds up over the course of a couple of hours, but let me just quickly show you what this looks like up close. So as you can see from that shot, it's a little bit dry and patchy looking around my nose. It also looks like it's kind of separated a little bit, which is really annoying. It looks fine on the rest of my face. It still looks a little bit dry under my eyes, and my blemishes obviously aren't covered as well as they could be. But this spot in particular really needs to heal, and I think it's starting to scab over. So I do find that when my spots go like that, it's really difficult to cover them with makeup no matter what I'm wearing. So with that being said, it could look a lot worse. So the time now is 3:15. Like I said, I put this on about 2 hours ago already. So I'll check back in around 9 o'clock and let you know how I get on. Hello everyone. So the time is now 9. Oh, it's 21:21. So it's about 9:20. This has been on my face now for about 8 hours, so it's time for the wear test check-in. I have to say, overall, my skin looks really nice on my cheeks and my forehead, where I don't have too many problems with foundation anyway. So typically my cheeks and my forehead don't tend to be problem areas when I'm trying out any foundation. But this is worn really nicely. My skin looks glowy, it doesn't look overly oily, but I do have problem areas around my nose and my chin, which are typically always problem areas when I wear most foundations. I'll put the close-up shots on the screen so you can see what my skin looks like up close. Please ignore the makeup that has come off around my mouth. I have had dinner and I had an ice cream and it came off. There were crumbs around my mouth. It was gonna happen. So my chin isn't terrible. It's definitely separated a little bit and it is a tiny bit oily, but it's not as bad as I've seen with some other foundations. My nose, on the other hand, it just looks separated, it looks oily, it also looks dry at the same time and patchy. So I'm thinking that my nose is just very dehydrated, but it clearly did not like this foundation. But overall, my skin doesn't look terrible. I've definitely, like I said, I've seen it look worse after foundation reviews. My mum actually just said to me that my skin looked really nice. She said she couldn't tell that I was wearing foundation. I feel like I can tell, but maybe that's just because I'm so used to seeing it on my own face. But just in terms of having a different perspective, that was quite nice to hear. In terms of the two sides of the primer, I did this side of my face with the Hydro Grip and I did this side of my face with the Pat McGrath primer. I don't really see a difference, to be honest. This side looks the tiniest bit oilier, but other than that, it really doesn't look that much different. My under eyes look quite dry actually, just directly underneath, and they look kind of crepey and wrinkly. They do not look excellent, but my spots don't look any worse than they did earlier. So I think the wear test was actually pretty successful. My final thoughts on the products overall were the primer is nice. I wouldn't pay £40 for it. It's a nice primer. It doesn't do anything fantastic. Like I said, there's not much difference on my face between the Pat McGrath side and the Hydro Grip side, so the Hydro Grip is a lot cheaper. I would go for that one, or literally any other primer that suits your skin. The foundation is nice. However, again, with the price point, if I I like the fact that I have something in my collection that isn't a full coverage foundation, something that I could wear in the summer, and maybe I'll feel a bit differently in the summer when I can try it out and see how I like it and see if it suits my skin during the summer, if it breaks up more or less. But you could just mix a little bit of foundation with a little bit of moisturizer and sheer out your foundation that way, or just apply a tiny bit less and spread it out more evenly. It's a nice foundation, but it didn't blow me away. It's £61, so it's not something that I think I would be purchasing again. I did really get sucked in when I saw Robert Welsh's review because it looked really nice on his skin, the way he applied it, but he also looks like he has really nice skin anyway, whereas I have a lot of blemishes that I like to cover, and it's just, it didn't do what I wanted it to do. That being said, I will use it because I have it, and who knows, it may turn out to be one of those foundations where I actually end up using it more and more and realizing I like it more than I thought I did. And I am really impressed with how it's lasted, especially considering it's a more sheer glowy foundation. I thought it was gonna basically be gone by now, so I am impressed with its lasting ability. Finally, the powder. So like I said, I'm not particularly oily, however I didn't use that much powder, so I don't know how much the powder played a role in keeping my oils at bay. My under eyes look very dry even now, and that was using a very thin layer of powder, so I don't think I'd use it again. I did like it when I used it with a beauty blender, so maybe it just doesn't apply as well with a brush. However, I did notice it looking a bit dry when I used the beauty blender as well, so I don't know. It's a £35 powder, and the Fenty Beauty powder is £24. It's currently on sale at Boots if you did want to go get it. So again, I would just rather go for the Fenty powder, plus it's a much bigger tub, you get a lot more product. But again, it's not terrible, so I will use it because I have it. I am obviously very grateful to my parents that they got these for me because they're absolutely beautiful presents, and I really did want to try that foundation. It's one of those, like, you see Pat McGrath and you just, all of like her models' looks and everything, they always look so beautiful and so stunning, and their skin is flawless. And Pat is one of the most celebrated makeup artists ever, so it's, you know, you really do want to try out her makeup products when she comes out with them. But I just don't think that her face products are the best for my skin. I don't think they are the most amazing ever for my skin. If they were, honestly, I probably would pay the price. If I find holy grail products that are more expensive, I will buy them, especially if I cannot find dupes anywhere. But if I'm literally just paying for the name, if I'm just paying for the packaging, then I'd rather use something else. So in summary, they are nice products, packaged really nicely. They all had claims on them that made me think that my skin was gonna look like Bella Hadid when I was done, and it did not. So I think in that sense it was definitely setting itself up for disappointment. But generally speaking, in terms of what I expected from the products, they did live up to that. But overall, I think they are too expensive for what you're getting, and personally I would not repurchase these products based on what I have experienced so far. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Are these products that you'll be buying yourself, or have you got them already? Let me know what you think. I'd love to know if anyone else has tried them and what your opinions are. Also, let me know what you think of the eye look. I'd love to know. Wanna gauge. If you've made it this far into the video, I hope that means you enjoyed it, and I hope you will consider subscribing. I'm very close to my next milestone, so I would really appreciate it if you do. Also, if you enjoyed these foundation testing videos, then please give this a big thumbs up. I do have a few other foundations in mind that I want to get to test out, so if that sounds like something you're interested in, then make sure to hit that thumbs up so that I know you enjoy them. But enough of the boring stuff. Now, what you really came for. A joke of the day. So this is the book I was talking about in my last video, my Fenty foundation review. I got this off Amazon. It was just a random one that I chose. So, okay, I've just had a look through that book, and I'm not gonna lie to you, they are all terrible. Like, if you saw my last video, you know I have a terrible sense of humor. So if I'm saying they're bad, then they're bad. So I just went on to my old friend Google and found one that you're probably gonna hate me for, but I'm gonna tell it to you anyway. So, what do you call a magic dog? A Labracadabrador! Do you know what? The one thing about doing these jokes is that I'm sat here by myself and no one's reacting. So it's literally like crickets. It kind of feels a little bit like I'm a comedian on a stage and I've told a joke and literally no one's laughing, which is probably what's happening anyway because they really are bad jokes. But I hope it put a smile on your face. Anyway, that is it from me today. I really hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you in my next one. Bye! 3 products takes your look from Dubai.